Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Let's Edit. A very special episode of Let's Edit, if I might add, where we actually are not going to be editing at all. What I'm going to be doing today is going through a portfolio of a beginner photographer who is interested in me taking a look at her work and seeing what I could do to help her make her photography better. Ms. Olivia Olson is a journalism major at South Dakota State University, where she is in a photography class right now. So I'm going to be doing the best that I can to help her learn more about what she's doing with her camera and how she can do a better job at taking photos. Let's go ahead and get started right here inside of the portfolio. Okay, let's see here. It looks like she has a 60D with an 18 to 35 lens. That's a really good, solid camera to start with. We've got like a landscape-ish with the reeds or whatever here in the foreground. It's neat. It's kind of got this desert vibe. You got this pink sunset, kind of reminds me of a Western movie. We're lacking some detail. One thing that I would do for every image is make sure that horizon is straight if you're going to do a landscape. Landscapes are very, very particular when it comes to horizons, and if it's off, it's really unsettling. And that coming from me, because my videos are usually very crooked if I'm taking it with my GoPro or something on a tripod, because I think my head was put on incorrectly. But it's obvious to see that this is definitely leaning kind of heavy on the left, and it doesn't help that there's more here on the left. It just kind of looks like it's weighing the whole photo down. We're lacking a subject, so I would definitely hone in on what your subject is going to be, and then make sure that it's easily accessible in the visual representation of your photograph here. Okay, so image 2, we have a little guy right here with a let's get an archery set, and it's a no joke archery set. That's a real deal bow and arrow. And this is really cool. I think this is awesome that you caught an arrow right there in flight, which is really neat. I love his stance here. He's just really easy and strong with the bow. We are a little overexposed here. This was, let's see here. It's not going to show me. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't pull everything in. But we're a little overexposed. We got a little bit too much here on the highlights. And I just make sure that if you're going to edit it or something like that, just to pull the exposure down. Make sure that your exposure is, I don't know what you were using here because it's not going to show me. If you're using a P mode or a program, make sure to keep your exposure compensation to the point where it's going to work best for you. If you see that it gets a little too bright, bring it down. If it's too dark, bring it up. It kind of helps you balance the image and gives you a little bit more control over it. If you're using aperture priority or something like that, make sure that you are in an aperture that fits your scene. You don't want to be shooting wide open if your max shutter speed isn't going to match, and that'll be a problem as well. But he's lined up on the left third, which I think is really nice, and this is honestly, it's really well composed. I probably would have shot the image from a little lower, just because it kind of looks like you were standing at average height and shot this, so you're kind of looking down at him there. It'd be really cool if we were kind of maybe down near his shoulder level, shooting it kind of straight parallel with him. I think that would have been a really dramatic image. Okay, so we have a picture of a watch here. This is interesting. I know that it looks like you're kind of going the product shot here. We can see a few things right off the bat. I see that you have a vignette here. I think that was maybe done in post-processing. But I would suggest against doing the vignette on just the corners, because it kind of just makes it look like it's being held in by a scrapbook or something. Honestly, the exposure's fine. What I would do is I would probably bring the band all the way down so you have it striping the entire image, which I think that'd be a pretty cool photo. If maybe you held it heavy to one side or the other, maybe left or right, and then had the band going straight through instead of it folding under here and only having it on the top. Because this kind of just looks like someone's holding out a watch and you took a picture of it. Like this could be an eBay shot or something like that. But if you really want to class it up, I would bring it down, show a lot more detail of the watch. You want to be able to tell the story with your images. So tell the story of everything this watch has to offer. This is neat. We've got some kind of street photography, photojournalism kind of thing going on here. This probably would work well with the journalism side of her major. This is a pretty cool storytelling picture. Now, the exposure's good. Let's see here. Is it going to show me the EXIF data? No, of course not. Okay. Anyway, we see the concentrated look on her face, and she's dealing with the cow here. And we've got people in the background. I think this looks like an auction, maybe. It's composed fairly well. I probably would take out a little bit of the headroom. That way you can see a little bit more of the cow, a little bit more of the subject here in front. And that way you are kind of filling your frame with the subject instead of keeping it dead pan center. Now, another thing that I would say is, I saw that you had an 18 to 135 earlier. What I would suggest you do is, instead of shooting at 135 and staying far away, shoot at 18 and get close. I know that there's a lot of people that say compression is good and all those kind of things, but honestly, like, one of my favorite things to do is to stay close to my subject and get all that detail in the person, but at the same time being able to use a wide angle lens and get everything around them. That's really the biggest part for me. Concert photographers do it all the time, where you have them really, really close to the lead singer, but they also have a wide angle lens, so they're grabbing everything else on stage at the same time. So I think this would be really cool if you kept them kind of in the center, about this big in the image, but also be able to capture everything else around it. Capture the auctioneer up here. I see the speakers and stuff, and be able to capture more of the crowd over here, and maybe this cow and the next one that's lined up and all that good stuff. I think that would be a really, really cool image. This is just something to work on. I mean, this would work well. I think this would go to print if you had a story to go with it. I could see this in a column in my newspaper here. This is not a bad image or anything like that. It's just something that I think would be more interesting if you had more of the story all in one photo instead of having to rely on a caption below. Okay, I'm not sure what the purpose of this would have been, other than just, maybe you like the lines or something. I like the texture in the background and stuff. I would probably have picked a different angle. If this was like some kind of fair or something like that, honestly, this looks really cool. I love the background. I probably would have straightened this up and tried to shoot it from a distance really flat, and that way I can capture all this really cool texture in the background and get the sign in at the same time. And I would have only done one or the other. I think I probably would have done North Main Street, because you got the corn here on it, and that looks a little bit more interesting to the eye. It has a little bit more story. So if you were to shoot it maybe on Main Street at the other corner, and then like zoom in a lot on the sign, you capture all this really cool detail in the background. That's what I would have done. Okay, so we got some action here. Couple of things, looks kind of neat. We were at 5.6 because you were probably out at 135. You're at 125th of a second, 3200 ISO. You were at 135. That's really neat. I'm glad that they put that in there. Okay, not bad. I definitely like that you can see some panning. You see him blurred here, and he's really sharp. That's great. That means that you are following the action. That's something, honestly, I'm not very good at, but I think you did extremely well here. I would definitely change up your composition, though. You want to bring him more into the frame. If he's the one with the ball, he's telling a story coming across the court, so put more of the court in the shot with him instead of having all this in the foreground, because this obviously is where he was coming from. There's no defenseman or his teammates over here. He's heading over in this direction, so let's see more of this direction, see where he's going instead of where he was. Okay, so this looks like a Broadway show or something like that. It's just kind of a plain Jane snapshot. I would have picked a different angle. You were probably there watching the show or something at school. What I would suggest is maybe trying to get a seat closer to the middle and then sneaking down a couple rows and getting really close. And again, with that wide angle, being able to capture everything on stage at one time is really, really helpful for these dramatic, large groups on stage. This honest, it looks like a commercial photo. This isn't bad. This looks like it would accompany something else. Not a bad photo. I like the line here. I like the line here. This is really cool, but you're not telling enough of a story here. So you're going to want, I don't know what hunger is. I don't know if this is Hunger Games. I don't know if this is, feeding the homeless. I don't know if this is raising money for Africa. That's the kind of stuff that you want to be able to tell with the story. Because I see that they're giving away free things, this spin to win kind of thing. This is pretty neat. I want to be able to see why. That's what the story is in this photo, and that's what I would like to see. Okay, so we've got a couple here. This is kind of candid. I don't know if these are people you know or if they were expecting you to take the photo, but this is really genuine reaction. I like the look on their faces. It doesn't really look like you posed them into that. It looks like they're kind of having a good time. Again, more of the story. So if they're, it kind of looks like they're outside, maybe like a park or something. Widen up the angle again. You're at 64. Maybe bring it down to 28 or 24. And try it there. That would really be my biggest thing. Is I like going wide and close. I mean, you can go telephoto and those types of things, but you definitely want to be able to tell your story if you're going to go telephoto. And I just don't feel like compressing that background or anything like that is telling the story here. Okay, looks like we have a flower here. Was this taken? Okay, yeah, it was taken with the 135 at 110. Not bad. Well, okay, well let's just talk about this. One, the flower's half dead, so maybe look around on the bush, see if there was one that was a little less disheveled. Or, if that's what you're going for, that's great. If you wanted to find something that was on its way to being withered out, that's cool. To just make this better, I would say use your rule of thirds. You can use everything like a tic-tac-toe board, okay? And just put something in place in a corner or on one of those segments. If you draw a tic-tac-toe board so you have equal squares on everything, then you would place this on one of the intersections and you'll see how much it can change. All right, so it's pretty much dead center. If I were to shoot it and have it here in the bottom right, that would probably be a more pleasing photo because it gives you something for your eye to go to. Okay, now we do have something above here that we can kind of use. So we'd probably, honestly, I would probably do something like a vertical crop because you're telling a story and your eye draws you from the blur to the sharpness. So I think that would probably be a really good shot because, you got it there in the bottom right, but you also have top left filled as well. So you have this diagonal line moving across your image, telling the story as you move along. Okay, really cute. I like the photo. This is really nice. One thing I would say is if you're going to shoot children, make sure to shoot children on their level because if you shoot from above, it kind of takes away the whole innocence of them. It just looks like an adult looking at a child. But if you get down on their level, you see the world like they do. So it really changes the perspective. But other than that, again, you're really, really tight in. I would widen it up, kind of see where the ball's going. If maybe dad is out there to catch it or something like that. Those are all types of things I think would tell the story better. Okay, best seat in the house. That's funny. You have an eye for it. I see it here. You're walking by, you see things, and you think it's going to be a really good photo. It's just all about arranging them in the right place so it's going to work together. I probably would have stood down here, gotten kind of wide, vertical shot. You get the tub and best seat in the house, and then this above. That would have been my choice at least. This is awesome. I really, really like this portrait. Okay, so we're at 85 millimeters, which is perfect portrait length. His eyes are sharp. That's great. I love that he has this really genuine smile. He's missing his teeth and stuff. That's just super cute. I think this is a great image. He's almost lined up on the left. I would maybe have put him over a little bit farther. I tend to go heavy to one side or the other, but that's just me. This is a really good image. I probably wouldn't change anything at all. I don't know if this is a little brother or something like that, but if you're taking this for somebody else, I'm sure his parents love this photo because this is really good. Okay, like we talked about before, with the ensemble photos. Wide is good. I like this image more than I like the last one because we have something going on. I love the emotion on this guy's face. He's getting it, and then his arms are blurred, and this guy's arms are blurred, and we have all kinds of motion going on that just shows that everything in this image isn't just standing there waiting for a picture to be taken. This is life happening before your eyes, and you're taking photos as it moves, and that's really, really neat. That's something, honestly, like a lot of people say don't put blur in photos, whatever else, that's just kind of like a rule of thumb for those that don't do a lot of photography. But honestly, motion, if it works for the image, I think it's great. Like the basketball photo. If there was blur in the ball or something like that, that'd be really, really cool. And there was a little bit, but those types of things show emotion, they show drama, but you still have to have a subject or whatever that's going to be really sharp and easy to discern. I would have cropped this a little better. Maybe I don't really know, because the mic stands are really bothering me. I would probably take this out of your portfolio just because of the mic stands. The mic stands really, really bother me because they distract from this guy's face and this guy's face. And it's not something you can even like clone out. I would take it out because of the microphones. Okay, so we got a lily pad here, and we got a decent little flower. It's not a bad photo. It's not really telling a story. There's no interest really. I mean, it's a pretty flower, but at the same time, it's not something I would hang on my wall. It's not giving me an emotion, and it's not telling me what's going on in the scene. So I would say scrap that as well. This one is not as good as your first portrait, and the only reason I say that is because of his expression. This is honestly, it's a good pose. I like the way he's sitting. I like where he's sitting. I like the background, but his face doesn't have as much brightness in it as the last one did. He looks like you sat down and told him to smile, and you caught him right before he made a big smile. Or you told him to smile, and he was like, no, I don't want to smile because, my teeth, or, whatever else, because kids, they're really, really fickle to work with. I love kids, and I teach kids, and my wife teaches kids, but the thing is that you want to make them feel really comfortable, and you want to make them feel like they can be themselves instead of behaving in front of another adult. You want to have, the opportunity to open up and see who they are as a person through a photo. The other one, I felt like it did that, but this one, not so much. So just make sure that you capture those emotions. I'm going to go back to this one really quick. This one, he looks really playful. It looks he's having a good time, and you captured all of that in an image. But this one, the lighting is fine, and everything else, just the expression. You need to find the right balance and timing of finding the expression that works for you. Okay, this one's pretty cool. I like the lines. I like the texture. I would stray away from the whole Dutch angle thing. We got a diagonal line here, diagonal line here, diagonal line here, and then a super diagonal line here. But I would straighten these images. I would maybe back away a couple of steps and then clean everything up. But at the same time, I don't know what the purpose of this image is for. So maybe if there was like a house in the background or something like that, I would, let's see here. You're at 116 at 6400. This is really clean for 6400. That's not bad on a T5i, not the 60D. But yeah, that's really nice. I like how much detail is in that image, considering. I mean, you can see the noise back here, but it's still really clean. Like, I have cameras that would be falling apart if it was a 6400. I would back out the lens. I would make it wider. I'd probably get somewhere around 28, 35, maybe even 50, and see if I can capture more of the 1924 in this, because I want to know, like this, it looks like it was taken at night with a street lamp or something like that, because this is obviously dark, and it looks like maybe a tree with no leaves on it or whatever else. So kind of on the spooky side. I think you could definitely spin the image that way if there's an easy house to be seen in the back. So find out what you can surround this subject with to tell the subject story. That's really the best thing I can say. In closing, really what I would like to say is that you do have an eye for photography. You definitely have a good opportunity here to flex some muscles and really practice this skill and get good. It's just going to take some time, because it always takes time. It took me plenty of time to get here. I took a photography class in college and hated it, and then finally found photography years later and really, really picked it up and just ran with it. It's going to take some time to get the type of photography that you want for your type of work. I don't honestly, I don't know if you're going to do this for work. I don't know if with journalism you're going to eventually push yourself into photojournalism as well. I don't know if that's something that your job in the future would require you to take photos as well. It's an awesome skill to be able to have and put together in this type of field, but I don't know if that's something that is in the cards for you. But if so, make sure to be able to tell your story with your images. If you're going to have images up on a paper, make sure that if it didn't have a caption, you'd still be able to tell your story with it. That's my biggest advice for you. All right, thank you so much for watching, and shout out to Olivia Olson for being brave and stepping up and giving me some stuff to tear apart for her. She did an awesome job, and I'm really excited to see where she goes from here with her images. If you guys would like to have your portfolio critiqued, make sure to send me a message here on YouTube or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of that good stuff. All that is in the description below. Subscribe, like, comment, see all the other cool stuff that we have going on the channel. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.